So look at the, so hello students, I was discussing the solutions for the assignment in rotational motion in the previous class. I have completed discussion of solutions up to question number 77. So now I am going to discuss the solutions for the questions starting with number 78. Look at the question number 78. A ring of mass 0.3 kg and radius 0.1 meter and a solid cylinder of mass 0.4 kg. And the same radius are given the same kinetic energy and released simultaneously on a flat horizontal surface, such that they begin to roll as soon as released towards the wall, which is at the same distance from the ring and the cylinder. The rolling friction in both the cases is negligible. So to find out whether both the ring and solid cylinder, which one of them, to find out which one of them will reach the wall first, we have to compare their translational speeds of center of mass. As I discussed in the theory part, in the rolling motion, so kinetic energy of a body of mass m and radius r, when the body rolls without slipping, the fixed surface given by half mvcm square into 1 plus k square by r square, where k is the radius of gyration about the horizontal axis passing the center of mass of the rolling body and parallel to the surface on which it rolls. So for uniform circular ring, the value of k square by r square as explained will be equal to 1, because my definition of the ring is given by mr square. My definition of first body is the ring, second body is solid cylinder. My definition of rigid body about a given axis can be written in the form I equal mk square. So k square by r square will be equal to 1 for ring. My definition of uniform solid cylinder about its axis of symmetry given by I equal mr square by 2. So k square by r square for solid cylinder about the axis passing through its center of mass, k square by r square will be equal to 1 by 2, because my definition is given by mr square by 2, that you can write mk square in here. So k square by r square and by 2. So kinetic energy, the first object, that is rolling ring, is same as the kinetic of second object, that is solid cylinder, because it is given that both are given same kinetic energy. So using this equation, half mv square into 1 plus k square by r square. So kinetic energy of the rolling ring, you can write half m1 v1 square into 1 plus k square by r square is 1. K square by r square, you can take it as 1 here. m1 is the mass of the ring and v1 is the magnetic velocity of the ring. So kinetic energy of second body, that is rolling solid cylinder, can be again found by same equation, half mvcm square into 1 plus k square by r square. Let m2 be the mass of solid cylinder, v2 be the magnetic velocity of center of mass, I mean linear velocity of center of mass of the rolling cylinder. K square by r square, you can take it as 1 by 2. So you get m1 v1 square into 2 equal to m2 v2 square into 3 by 2. So v1 square by v2 square will be equal to 3 by 4 into m2 by m1. m1 is the mass of the ring, which is given to be 0.3 kg. m2 is the mass of cylinder, that is given to be 0.4 kg. So you get 1. That means you get V1 and V2 equal. That is magnitude of the translation velocity center of mass of cylinder. Same as the magnitude of the translation velocity center of mass of the ring. Therefore, both will reach the wall simultaneously and collide with the walls at the same instant. So those who want to copy the solution of the problem, they can take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. So for question number 78, third option will be the answer. That is, both will reach the wall simultaneously. Then you see the next question, question number 79. So I am going to read out the question number 79. A homogeneous rod AB of length L and mass M is pivoted at the center O in such a way that it can rotate freely in a vertical plane. The rod is initially in the horizontal position. An insect S of same mass falls vertically with speed V at the point C, midway between O and B. Immediately after the insect fall, the angular velocity system is. So length of the rod is given to be L. So the distance between O and B will be L by 2. Distance from O to A is also L by 2. So distance from O and C will be equal to half of L by 2, that is L by 4. So initial momentum of the insect just before it falls from the rod has magnitude P equal to M into V, which is directed vertically downwards, passing through some point C. So perpendicular distance with the direction of the initial momentum of the insect from the center O of the rod is equal to L by 4. So magnitude of the initial angular momentum, you can write P into R perpendicular. You consider the rod and the insect together as one system. The rod is initially, at rest, initial angular momentum of the rod is 0. That initial moment angular momentum of the rod can be taken as 0. Initial angular momentum of the insect, you can write product of magnitude of linear momentum of the insect and perpendicular distance between the origin O in direction of the momentum of the insect. That you can write R perpendicular, means perpendicular distance between the direction of the momentum vector and from the origin O is equal to L by 4. So magnitude of initial angular momentum system about the horizontal axis passing through point O can be written MV L by 4. The total final angular momentum system, the rod and the insect, is equal to final angular momentum of the rod plus final angular momentum of the insect. You are asked to find the common angular velocity system after the insect falls onto the rod. So when the insect falls on the rod, both the insect and the rod rotate together with a common angular velocity which are denoted by omega. So final angular system of the rod and insect, you can write moment of inertia of system into final angular speed omega. Moment of inertia of system is equal to moment of inertia of the rod plus moment of the inertia of the insect about the axis passing through the point O. Moment of inertia of the rod about the axis passing through the center of the rod and perpendicular length of the rod. You can write capital M into L square by 12. Moment of inertia of the insect, you can write M into L by 4 square. Because insect has same mass as that of the rod according to the problem. And distance of the insect from center of the rod after the rod falls onto the, after the insect falls on the rod at the position C, the distance of the insect from axis passing through O will be L by 4. So moment of inertia of the insect about the axis passing through O can be done m into square of the distance of the insect from center of the rod. That is m into L by 4 whole square. So this you can simplify further. And apply conservative angular momentum. The final angular system of the rod and insect just after the insect falls onto the rod can be written as equal to initial angular system. And this you can try to simplify it. You can take a pause and copy if you want to copy the solution of the problem, you can take a pause and copy the solution of the problem and complete the simplification part yourself. So the final angular momentum system of the rod and the insect, if you simplify that, you get ml square into 7 omega by 48. That you can be done mvl by 4. You can simplify this yourself to find omega. So omega you get 12v by 7l. You check up your calculation. So for question number 79, which I have just discussed now, second option will be the answer. Then see the next question, question number 80. A uniform disk of mass m and radius r is rolling down a rough inclined plane, which makes an angle of 30 degrees with horizontal. The coefficient of static and kinetic friction are each equal to nu. And the only force acting or gravitational friction. Then the magnetic friction force acting on the disk with its direction is. This I have discussed this part in the theory part, how to calculate the direction magnitude of friction force acting on the body when it rolls down the fixed inclined plane without slipping. So for linear motion of center of mass, the resultant force can be written as down the inclined plane as explained in the theory part. In case you are unable to remember, you can go back to my previous class or go through the notes you have copied. Magnitude of the net force down the inclined plane is equal to mg sin theta minus fs. That you can write mass into linear acceleration center of mass of the rolling body. Fs represents the magnitude of static friction. So when the body rolls down the fixed inclined plane without slipping, the velocity center of mass is directed parallel to the inclined surface down the inclined plane. So actual velocity at the bottommost point A of the rolling body in contact with the inclined surface must be 0. Instantaneous velocity of the point A on the surface of rolling body which is in contact with the inclined surface must be 0. That is possible when the velocity of point A with respect to the center of mass is opposite in direction but equal in magnitude to the velocity of center of mass, actual velocity center of mass. So the velocity of the point A with respect to center of mass must be equal in magnitude but opposite in direction to the actual velocity center of mass. So though that the velocity of the point A, standard velocity of point A in contact with the inclined plane will be 0, which is possible when magnitude velocity of point A with respect to center of mass given by r into omega. Because with respect to center of mass, different particles rotate, move in circles, the center on the axis passing through center of mass. So that is possible, and rotation is in anti-clockwise sense, as shown in the figure, which is possible in friction produces a torque that rotates the disk in the anti-clockwise sense. That much friction must act upwards. Now, already I have derived in the class. I don't want to repeat the derivation. The magnitude of the linear axis center of mass of the rolling body when it rolls down the fixed inclined plane without slipping is given by g sin theta by 1 plus k square by r square. Can take k square by r square equal to 1 by 2 for uniform circular disk. To simplify this, you get magnitude of linear accelerator center of mass equal to 2i3g sin theta. You can substitute this value of ACM here on the right side. So magnitude is fourth of mg sin theta minus fs equal to m into 2 by 3g sin theta. Can substitute the magnitude of linear accelerator center of mass equal to 2 by 3g sin theta on the right side of the equation. Come on, copy down the working if you want to copy down the working and complete the simplification part. So for question number 80, third option will be the answer. See the next question, question number 81. The symmetrical lamina of mass Kaplan consists of a square shape with a semicircular section over each of the square, as shown in the figure. The side of the square is 2a. The moment of inertia of the lamina about an axis through its center of mass and perpendicular to the plane is 1.6 MA square. The moment of inertia of the lamina about the tangent AB in the plane of the lamina is. So, you are given that moment of inertia, let us suppose the lamina lies in the xy plane. And that axis perpendicular plane of the lamina and passing through center of the plane. Then moment of inertia about z axis is given to m.6 MA square. This we take it as, suppose x axis. And this is a y axis. From perpendicular axis theorem, moment of inertia of the lamina about z axis, that is about the axis perpendicular plane of the lamina and passing through the center of the lamina, will be equal to sum of its moments of inertia about any two mutually perpendicular axes in the plane of the lamina and passing through the center of the lamina. So Ix and Iy by symmetry they will be equal. So Iy can be written as Ix. So moment of inertia of the lamina about x-axis, half of the moment of inertia about z-axis. Moment of inertia about z-axis is given to 1.6 MA square. So this will be 0.8 MA square. They are asked to find moment of inertia of the lamina about the line AB in the plane of the lamina. According to parallel axis theorem, moment of inertia of the rigid body about any axis is equal to moment of inertia about the parallel axis passing through its center of mass plus product of the mass of the body and square of the perpendicular distance h between the two axes. So moment of inertia of the lamina about the line AB is equal to moment of inertia about the parallel axis passing through its center of mass, means moment of inertia about x-axis. So IAB represents the moment of inertia of the lamina about the axis AB, which lies in the plane of the lamina in the xy plane and parallel to x-axis. Equal to moment of inertia about the parallel axis through the center of mass, means you have to take moment of inertia about x-axis. That means here ICM we can take Ix. perpendicular distance h between the two axes in this case equal to a. This is the perpendicular distance h between the two axes. You can take it as 2a. Ix you can write 0.8 MA square. So you get the answer as 4.8 MA square. So if you want to copy the solution of the problem, you can take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. So for question number 81, first option is answer. See the next question, question number 82. A cubical block of side L rests on a rough horizontal surface with coefficient of friction U. A horizontal force F is applied on the block as shown. The coefficient of friction is sufficiently high so that the block does not slide before toppling. The minimum force required to topple the block is. So the block tends to topple about the axis passing through edge here. I have done similar question in the past. The perpendicular distance between the line of axis and the weight into the block from one of the edges of the block about which it may topple will be equal to L by 2. So magnitude of the moment of the force F about the edge about which it may topple will be F into L. So that has to be to topple the block. F into L should be more than mg to L by 2. Or F should be greater than mg by 2. Or minimum value of the force required to just topple the block can be taken as mg by 2. But the block does not slide. Means F is less than. Of course, problem is completed with this step. But sometimes you may be asked to find the condition for coefficient of friction. Block does not slide on the floor before it topples. That means F must be less than mg. That is mg by 2 is less than mg. 1 by 2 is less than u. So this discussion is valid only when u is greater than 1 by 2. Sometimes this minimum value of u may be asked. That will be 1 by 2. So for question number 82, third option is answer. See the next question, question number 83. Thin wire of length L and uniform linear mass density rho is bent into a circular loop. The center O as shown. The moment of inertia of the loop about the axis xx dash is. So length of the loop, mass of the wire, mass of the loop is same as the mass of the wire. That is equal to mass per unit length into length of the wire, L into rho. The perimeter of the loop formed is 2 pi r. That can be done as L. So radius of the loop formed we can write L by 2 pi. So moment of inertia of the loop about this axis xx dash is equal to moment of inertia about the parallel axis passing through its center of mass of the loop plus product of the mass of the loop and square of the perpendicular distance h between the two axes. So the axis is parallel to xx dash. I mean the axis passing through center of mass of the loop, which is parallel to the line xx dash, is nothing but coincide with one of the diameters. we're going to apply parallax theorem to find the moment of inertia I about the line xx dash. According to parallax theorem, moment of inertia of the loop about the line xx dash is equal to moment of inertia about the parallax is passing through its center of mass plus product of the mass of the loop and square of the perpendicular distance h between the two axes. Here moment of inertia about the parallax is through center of mass. Here y is the center of the loop which coincides with the center of mass of the loop. The parallax is passing through. The axis parallel to the line xx dash and passing through center of mass of the loop will coincide with one of the diameters of the loop. And moment of inertia of the loop about a diameter will be half of the moment of inertia about central axis. Moment of inertia of thin uniform circular ring about the central axis. That means about the axis perpendicular to the plane of the loop and passing through center of the loop will be mr squared. So moment of inertia about diameter of thin uniform circular ring of mass m and radius r can be written as mr square by 2. So ICM can be taken as ID. That is moment of inertia about diameter. That is equal to mr square by 2. And h can be taken as r here. So it will be 3 mr square by 2. Can write mass m equal to L into rho. So this is 3 by 2 into L into rho. R can be written as L by 2 pi. This you have to simplify. Come on, those who want to copy the solution of the problem, they can take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. So you get the answer at 3 rho L cube by 8 pi square. So for question number 83, fourth option is answered. See the next question 84, similar question I have discussed the past with a small difference. Which of the following is false about the moment of inertia of thin square plate ABCD of uniform thickness about an axis passing through center O and perpendicular to the plate? I1, I2, I3, I4 are moments of inertia about axis 1, 2, 3, 4, which are in the plane of the plate ABCD of uniform thickness. According to the perpendicular axis theorem, moment of inertia of a plane body about any axis about an axis perpendicular plane of the plate will be equal to sum of its moments of inertia about any two mutually perpendicular axes in the plane of the plate and intersecting on the first axis. So I z can be written as I1 plus I2 or I3 plus I4. As already discussed in the past, that moment of inertia of thin uniform square plate about any axis in the plane of the square plate and passing through the center of the plate will be the same, which will be equal to half of the moment of inertia about the central axis. Iz is the moment of inertia about central axis symmetry. That is the moment of inertia about the axis perpendicular to the plane of the plate and passing through the center of the plate. So, if you look at the options given there, Iz can be written as I1 plus I2. First option is correct. Iz equal to I1 plus I3 because any I1 and I1 and I2 and I3 are equal. Therefore, I1 plus I2 can also be written as I1 plus I3 because I2 and I3 are equal. And Iz can also be written as I3 plus I4. But you cannot write I1 plus I2 plus I3 equal Iz. I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I4 becomes 2Iz. So Iz cannot be equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3. Therefore, fourth option will be the answer for the given question. But the fourth option is a false statement. So look at the question number 85. 1/4 sector is cut from a uniform circular disk of radius r. This sector has a mass m. It is made to rotate about a line perpendicular to the plane passing through center C of the original disk. So my definition about the axis of rotation is the mass of sector. Sector is 1/4 or 1/4 of the. 1/4 means 1/4 of the uniform circular disk. So total mass of the full disk can be taken to be 4 times the mass of a quarter. I mean mass of sector. So my definition of the disk about the axis passing through center C of the disk and perpendicular plane of the disk is called mass of the disk into r square by 2. The moment of inertia of the disk can be written as 4 times the moment of inertia of each sector, because the moment of inertia of the disk includes some of the moments of inertia of the 4 quarters. Each the disk can be imagined to be composed of 4 parts, 4 equal parts, each part in the form of quarter of the disk, 1/4, 4 quadrants. So moment of inertia of the disk about the axis passing through C and perpendicular plane of the disk. I mean moment of inertia of the original disk can be taken as 4 times the moment of inertia of each sector, and mass of the original disk you can take 4 times the mass of each quarter disk. So moment of inertia of each quarter or sector about the axis passing through and perpendicular plane of the disk will be mr square by 2. So first option will be the answer for this question. So look at the question number 86. A thin rod has moment of inertia I1 about an axis passing through its center and perpendicular to its length. It is bent to form a ring. The ring so formed has moment of inertia I2 about an axis passing through center and perpendicular to the plane of the ring. The ratio I1 by I2. So let L denote the length of the rod and R denote the radius of the ring. So perimeter or circumference of the ring 2 pi r can be taken as equal length of the rod, because the geometric length will not change. So radius of the ring you can write L by 2 pi. So moment of inertia of the rod about an axis passing through its center and perpendicular to its length you can write ml square by 12. The mass of the body will not be changed when its shape is changed. So mass of the ring formed can be taken to be same as the mass of the rod. Moment of inertia of the ring about the axis perpendicular plane of the ring and passing the center of the ring is given mr square. So I1 by I2 you get L square by 12 r square, or 1 by 12 into L by r whole square. So here L can be written as 2 pi r. So you get 4 pi square by 12, or pi square by 3 is the answer. So for question number 86, second option is the answer. See the question number 87. With a small modification, this question was given one of the world IIT entrance exam papers. The torque tau bar on the body about a given point is found to be equal to A bar cross L bar, where A bar is the constant vector, L bar is the angular moment of the body about that point. So the torque tau bar, from definition, you can write time rate of change of angular momentum dl bar by dt. Here tau bar is given to be A bar cross L bar. So tau bar is perpendicular to the, so that means direction of the change in the angular momentum. So from dl bar, that is change in angular momentum for a small interval of time dt, can write tau bar into dt. For a body performing rotational motion, change in angular momentum, direction of change in angular momentum same as the direction of torque, because tau bar is given to be a bar cross L bar. From definition of cross product of two vectors, if a bar and b bar are two vectors, if the cross product of two vectors a bar and b bar gives you third vector c bar, then we can say from basic definition of cross product, c bar is perpendicular to a bar, c bar is perpendicular to b bar. The same way you can say torque tau bar is perpendicular to a bar, and torque tau bar is also perpendicular to L bar. That means, and direction of change in angular momentum in the direction of the torque, which is perpendicular to L bar. That means change in angular momentum L bar is perpendicular to L bar. That means dl bar is perpendicular to L bar. That means third option will be the answer. See the next question, question number 88. Solid sphere of mass m and radius r having moment of inertia about I about its diameter is recast into disk of thickness t, whose moment of inertia about an axis passing through its edge perpendicular to its plane remains I. So when it is recast, mass remains same, density also remains same, therefore volume remains same. So mass of the volume of the disk formed, as you can write, face area of the disk and thickness of the disk. Let T denote the thickness of the disk. So let R1 denote the radius of the disk. So volume of the disk you can write pi R1 square into T. That is equal to the volume of solid sphere. Because same volume is recast into different shape. So mass of the disk is same in both. So if you multiply both sides with rho, that is a density. That gives you the mass m in each case. Okay. Then moment of inertia of the disk about the axis passing through its edge and perpendicular to its plane can be written as moment of inertia about the Planck parallel axis theorem. Moment of inertia about the axis which is passing through the edge and perpendicular to its plane will be equals to, from parallel axis, moment of inertia about parallel axis through its center of mass plus product of the mass of the body and square of the perpendicular distance between the two axes. So moment of inertia about the parallel axis through its center of mass means moment of inertia about central axis. Moment of inertia uniform circularity is about central axis symmetry. That is about the axis perpendicular plane of the disk and passing through the center of mass of the disk with mr square beta. Here R1 should be taken as radius of this, h equal to R1. So this will be 3 by 2 m R1 square. So this is given to be same as the moment of inertia of the sphere about the diameter. That means 3 by 2 mr1 square. You can write mr2 by 5 mr square. So r1 square you get 2r square by 5 into 2 by 3. So r1 you get r into r by root 50. The mass m is same. Of course, I mean this part of calculation is actually not needed to answer the question. So for question number 88, first option is answer. See the question number 89. Disk of radius r has mass 9 mm. Whole of radius r by 3 is cut from it as shown in the figure. The moment of inertia, the remaining part about an axis passing through center of the disk and perpendicular plane of the disk is. Let m1 be the mass of the circular disk of radius r by 3, which is removed from the edge of the original disk, divided by mass of the original disk, can be written as area of the circular piece removed by total area, because mass is equal to volume into density. Volume can be written as face area into thickness. Thickness is uniform per uniform disk, and density is also constant. So ratio of the mass m1 of the circular disk of radius r by 3 divided by total mass of the original disk is equal to same as the ratio of the face area of the disk of radius r by 3 divided by face area of original disk. Face area of the original disk is pi into r square. Face area of the circular piece of radius r by 3 pi into r by 3 whole square. So mass of circular piece removed will be 1 by 9th of the mass of the original disk, that will be m. Let I1 be the moment of inertia of the circular piece of radius r by 3 about the axis passing through point O is equal to moment of inertia about the axis passing through its own center of mass. That means applying parallax theorem for the circular disk of mass small m with radius r by 3. Let us denote this radius by small r is equal to moment of inertia about the parallax axis passing through its center of mass from parallax theorem, that is mr square by, according to parallax theorem, moment of inertia about any axis is equal to moment of inertia about the parallax axis passing through its center of mass plus product of the mass of the body and square of the perpendicular distance h between the two axes. So moment of inertia of circular, I1 is the moment of inertia of circular disk of radius small r, which is equal to capital R by 3, about the axis passing through point point perpendicular to the plane of the original disk. That is equal to moment of inertia about the axis passing through its center of mass of this disk, that is small m into small r square by 2 plus product of the mass and square of the perpendicular distance h between the two axes. Again, write small r is equal to capital R by 3 and h equal to 2r by 3. So you can take m into r by 3 whole square, means r square by 9 into 1 by 2 plus 4. That will be 9 mr square by 2 into 9. That is mr square by 2. Let ID be the, or let I or denote the moment of inertia of the remaining disk. So I1 plus IR. I1 is the moment of inertia of circular, small circular disk of radius capital R by 3 about the axis passing through and perpendicular to plane of original disk. IR is the moment of inertia of the remaining disk about the axis passing through the point O and perpendicular to the plane of the original disk. I1 plus IR gives you the moment of inertia of the original disk about its central axis of symmetry. That is about the axis passing through the point O and perpendicular to the plane of the original disk. Moment of inertia of the original disk you can write mass of the original disk, that is 9m into R square by 2. I1 you can write small m into R square by 2. IR is the moment of inertia of the remaining disk. That you can write mr square 9mr square by 2 minus mr square by 2. So that you can simplify it further. Those who want to copy the solution of the problem, they can take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. This paper. So for question number 89, second option is answer. Say the next question, question number 90. Uniform rod AB of length L is free to rotate in a vertical plane about a fixed horizontal axis passing through NDA. Shots falling with lower end fixed. When it has turned through an angle theta, it's angular velocity. So we are going to apply conservation of energy. The rod is rotating about an axis passing through one of the ends, passing through NDA and perpendicular length to length. The initial height of the center of mass of the rod about the lower end A will be L by 2. So to find decrease in the gravitational potential energy, you have to find the vertical height through which center of mass falls. Let H2 be the new height of center of mass about the lower end. H1 is the initial height of center of mass. So you can observe that C1 is the position of center of mass in the vertical position of the rod. C2 is the position of new position of center of mass of the rod. Can drop a perpendicular from C2 on the vertical line. Let N be the foot of the perpendicular dropped from C2 on the vertical line. H1 is the initial height of center of mass from the lower end A, which is equal to L by 2. H2 is the new height of center of mass of the rod above the lower end. C1 is the initial position of center of mass of the rod in the vertical position. C2 is the new position of center of mass of the rod after the rod has turned by an angle theta. From the figure you can observe that H2 by L, adjacent side by, that means A and C is the right angle triangle. H2 by A and C2. H2 by L is cos theta. Applying conservation of energy, increase in kinetic energy of the rod is equal to decrease in the gravitational potential of the rod. I can be written as ml square by 3. H1 you can write L by 2. H2 you can write L by 2 into cos theta. So in the next step you substitute 1 minus cos theta equal to, from elementary trigonometry, 2 sin square theta by 2, and complete the simplification part yourself and complete the problem. So for question number 90, fourth option is answer.